All right, guys. So basically, the first thing that I want to talk about today is just how to actually work this general solution. So we're going to be doing two things. The first thing is looking at a real basic version of it, and then I'll have a look at the first problem that we actually did today. All right. So the first idea that you guys need to understand is I've got a picture of a sine graph right here. Okay. Now, when I ask a question, at what points is the sine graph meet the y, where it has y value of 0.5, the thing that we do is we kind of put y equals to 0.5, and we actually draw this line here. The next step, what we do is we go and start figuring out what these points are. So there's 1 point, my second point, third, fourth. How many points am I going to have if I keep on going like this? Infinite points. But what I can do is I can actually write an equation that's going to generate this infinite solutions. And that's what the general solution idea is. Okay? Because a sine curve, if you think about it, sine curve or cos curve, whatever the graph is, it's going to keep on going. Therefore, it's going to keep on meeting y equals to 0.5. So we're going to have infinite solutions. So how to figure that out is this particular problem. I'm going to go back to here. All I'm trying to figure out is I've got sine x equals 0.5. That's what I'm trying to figure out, right? Can I ask you guys to do this? In your calculators, when you switch it on, go into main menu and go into, just go into run menu. Now there's a button called shift menu, which is your shift setup. So if you click on shift and menu, it should go into setup. Make sure your angle is in radians. That's this part right here I'm talking about. All right? Make sure it's in radians, not in degrees. If it's in degrees, you're going to start getting some really messed up answers. Okay? So this is the part I'm talking about. Make sure it's in radians. Once it's in radians, just exit and go back to original place. Now, you want to figure out at what value of x, y is equal to 0.5. So now you guys would remember this, doing this from like level 1 or possibly level 2, where if you want to find this, you would go x is equal to shift sine of 0.5. Now if you don't remember it, it's not a problem. Just go into your calculator, look for where it says sine, and there's a little shift sine button. Click on shift sine, and then put in 0.5 and press enter. You should get your first value, which is 0.52. Okay? So I'm going to go back to my original slide here. I'm going to put x is equal to 0.52. Now I want to check that if that's correct. So I'm going to go back to my graph and have a look. My first point here, it actually says pi over 6. Okay? Now if you want to figure out if that's 0.52, what do you have to do? Just go pi divided by 6. Can you guys check it if it's 0.52? It is? There you go. You figured out the first answer. Okay? Now, the trick is trying to generate all these infinite number of answers. Okay? So I'm going to go back here and I want you guys to just watch this part here. So where it says, let's see. I've got sine, if sine theta equals sine alpha, then I just have to substitute all these things. Now, all I've done here is, I'll bring it back down. Let's see, colors. I'm going to stick with blue for this one and red for the alphas, all right? So I've got sine of theta equals sine of alpha. That's what I'm trying to get to. But what I have though is I actually have from this side, I have sine of x equals 0.5. Now you just worked out what inverse of 0.5, isn't it? You worked out that it was 0.52. So I can actually write this as sine of x equals sine of 0.52. Would you guys agree with that? Yeah? So then what I can say is, instead of putting that x here, I'll just put it as a general equation. I want to find a general equation. I'll just put it as sine of theta. So if you guys notice, this is my alpha. I'll even, hang on, wait, let's just write it as x. Then this is my theta. Can you guys see how that's working out? That this value, sine of this value is going to be the same as sine of the other value. Now I've got alpha and I've got theta, which means all I have to do is copy the equation as it is. So I've got theta equals n pi plus -1 n alpha. Then I can replace this with theta equals n pi plus -1 n, and alpha is equal to 0.52. Is that all right? So far, so good? Now, from this point, remember the part where it said where n equals, was it n equals any integer or was it just integer? Any integer. Okay, where n equals any integer. So what I can do is, if I put n as any integer, it's going to give me all the solution, like some of this, like actually no, it'll give me all the solutions. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put n equals to 0. If I put n equals to 0, I'm going to figure out what is theta. So in other words, think about it like this. Create a small table. Okay, just put n like that, and then theta here is n pi plus -1 n 0.52. So in other words, if I put n equals to 0, I substitute n as 0 and figure out what that value is. So here it's going to be 0 times pi plus -1 to the power of 0 multiplied by 0.52. If you guys work that out, you will get a value of 0.52. Can you work it out for me? So you got 0 pi plus, make sure you put the brackets correctly, to the power of 0 multiplied by 0.52. And as you can see, I'm getting 0.52 for my first, when n equals to 0. Now if I put n equals to 1, I could actually work out my next value. So I could actually go 1 pi plus -1 to the power of 1 times 0.52. I'm getting my next value, which is, what was it? 2.62. Now guys, you've got 2.62 here. If you go back to the original graph, see how you got 5 pi over 6 as your second point? Can you go in your calculators, 5 pi divided by 6, and it should be close to 2.62. It's close to 2.62 because we rounded off 0.52. Okay? Remember in the original part, it was like a really long number, but we rounded off early. That's why we're getting slightly different values. So, theoretically speaking, can you guys work out what 13 pi divided by 6 is? What's 13 pi divided by 6? 6.8. Now if you look at this, pi over 6 is when n equals to 0. 5 pi over 6 is when n equals to 1. So when n equals to 2, it should equal to that current value that you have right now. So what we're going to do is, we're trying to predict, this is what? What was the value you said? 6.82, was it?
No, 806.
806, okay, whatever that is. So what we want to do is, if we put 2 in this situation, we should end up with, let's see if it works out. Oh, 6.806, did you say? I got 803. Anyway, getting close to it. That's the most important part. So can you guys see how that works? So what you've basically created is, you've actually said, if someone asks you if sine x equals to 0.5, can you give me an equation that's going to give me unlimited, all of the solutions? That's why we put k is an integer, because integer can be negative or positive, right? So if we put negative, we'd get all the negative answers. Okay, so this is the first part. The second part I wanted to show you guys, it's going to be 3 parts today. The second part is this one here. In your calculator, notice how I've done like these steps 3 times, right? That's too much work for me. Okay, I can't be substituting those values every single time. Here's a little tip that you can do. Go into menu and go into equation. Okay, and in equation, if you go into not polynomial, solver. Go into solver, and in there you can actually write this equation. So instead of theta, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a different letter. I'm going to use, because someone said O, I'm going to go alpha O. Should we use alpha O or should we use T? Let's use T because it's theta. Alpha T, theta equals, and then just write the equation as it is. So theta equals n. So find your n. Theta equals alpha n pi plus -1 to the power of n multiplied by 0.52. So when you guys do that, you will get something that says t equals to 0 and n equals to 0. If you go to n equals to 0, just type in 0, press enter, and solve. Come on, solve. Oh. Absolute initial R could be because, why can't it solve? Into the power of 1. Should it work? Did you guys get can't solve as well? Okay, what if we try? I got the same one as well. Okay, we'll play with this later. I'll try and figure out later on. But for now, you guys know how to do this the long method anyway, right? So this is our general equation. So one thing is, this was the final part of it that we're looking for. Right here. That's your general solution. Did it work for her? Which one? You have to do that instead of 2. You have to press the theta sign. Where? It's like x, comma, theta, comma, t. Which t did you use?
Replace the letter t with the x, comma, theta.
Oh, okay. So that means... So this one here, instead of t, put it as x. Is that right? Oh, there we go. So, sorry guys, instead of putting that as a t, just put it as an x. And you actually have it. Because if I go press n equals to 1 and solve. Why is it not working now? Oh, 1. No, it's not working, Basha. Is it working for 1 for you? Anyway, look, I'm gonna see if I can play around with this later on and try and work this out.
Did he use other x?
Yeah, could be. All right, guys. So I want to go back to this question here. This was the first question we were looking at, right? So we had 3 sine 2 pi over 8, this thing, and you know how we had multiple solutions? How are we going to actually write this one in the form of general equation? So this is going back to what Anita's question was. Anita's question was this. She said, if I have this equation, which is 3 sine 2 pi over 8, was it x minus 3? Plus 4, and that equals to 2, right? So, to write a general equation for this one, this is what we want to try and prove. So the first thing you want to do is, you want to arrange everything so that it's like sine of something equals a number. That's what you want to do first. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this for you guys. Just to make things easy, we're gonna put this entire thing that's inside this bracket as theta. Does that make sense? Just to make things easy for me to write. So I can write like this: 3 sine theta plus 4 equals to 2. Now my whole aim is to try and bring it to sine theta by itself. So then I can write 3 sine theta, rearrange everything. So I've got 2 minus 4, which is negative 2. So I've got 3 sine theta equals negative 2 over negative 2. Still rearranging things. I'm going to have sine theta equals negative 2 over 3. Is that all right so far, what I've done? Is that something that you guys can do by yourself already? Yes? Now, go back to what we did earlier. See how when we had sine x, like I'm looking at it right here, where it said sine x equals 0.5, then we had to say x is equal to shift sine of that. So that's all we're going to do. We're going to put theta equals shift sine of negative 2 over 3. So can you guys find that for me, please? Actually, this is what you do. 0.721. We all happy with that? So then we can say this. Look at this. We can say sine theta is equal to, because we try to find negative 2 over 3. Sine theta. Theta is equal to negative 729. So then I can say sine theta equals sine. Is that all right? Is that okay what I've done so far? So theta, I've got theta and I've got alpha here. Okay, got theta and alpha. Now, my equation, if I go back to my general equation of sine curve, which is right at the top there. See how it says, if this equals this, then theta is n pi plus minus 1. So I'm going to basically copy that down. It says theta equals n pi. Whoa. Something's happening here, right? What's the rest of that equation, guys? Plus negative 1 n.
Negative 1 n alpha.
Okay, we copy that down. We've got alpha, don't we? We've got alpha. Alpha is n pi plus negative 1 n, negative 0.729. We're not actually working with theta, are we? Because originally we said theta equals what? That big thing at the top there. See this? This is what we said theta was. So we need to rewrite theta in terms of x. So we just write it as, instead of theta here, we have 2 pi over 8. Is that okay so far? Because I changed theta. Originally I changed this to theta. Now I changed it back to what it was originally. Because if you remember in my graph, like actually that's the top part. If I go to the top part right there, right here. See how I said that? Actually not even that. I'm talking about this part right here. The green part. Because I said theta equals to that, I can rewrite it. Stay with me guys, we're nearly done. This is literally the last part here. So from this point, all it is we have to rearrange so that x is by itself. That's all. And then if you simplify it, you have your equation for general solutions. And what I'll show you guys is that it actually gives out all the points as well. So rearranging this, I'm going to write this as, because it's 2 pi over 8, I can write it as pi over 4, n pi plus negative 1 n. All right, and if I rearrange it, I'm going to multiply everything on the other side by 4. So I have 4n pi plus 4 times negative 1n negative 0.729, and the whole thing divided by pi. Now, so 4n pi don't put it in yet. Just be patient. Simplify this, guys. So you're going to have x minus 3 equals 4n plus 4 negative 1n divided by pi. And finally, just moving that x, the positive 3. So it'll become 4n plus 3. I told you guys, it's very simple. This is the same thing that you guys will have to do it all the time. There's going to be nothing different about it. And that is my general solution for x. So, if I put n equals, and I just put a little thing, n is any integer. Finer details. This part, you just need to mention that as well. Okay? Now, I want you guys just to do this for me. Baja, can you work out when n equals to 0? Someone else from that other end, can you work out when n equals to 1? Someone from this side, can you work out when n equals to 2? Shweta, n equals to 3. Can you guys work out for me what the value of x is when n equals to 0, 1, 2, and 3? Can you see it, Shweta? It'll be available on your OneNote, so you can take it down, but it's already there for you. But I'll put it up as well because it's just
3.928.
Which one?
3.9.
What did you do?
0.
Are you sure? Can I have a look at it?
Shouldn't it equal
It won't be 3 point. Something's not right in the calculation. That's 0.729. That should be negative. Yeah. I'm about to show you. When you solve these 4 values, I'm going to show you. Can somebody give me the 4 values, please? 2.07. This is Baja. When n equals to 0, she says it's 2.07. Who was doing 1? What'd you get, Gerald? 7.92. Did anybody do 2 here? 10.07. Did anybody do 3? 15.92. All right, team. I want you guys to watch this. This is where everything's going to make sense. Bruce, the question that you asked is going to make sense because look at this. Look at those values. 2.07, 7.92, 10.07, 15.92. If I go into my graph, look at that. First value is 2.07, 7.92, 10.07. And the point that Shweta found, which was, what was it, Shweta? 15 point. And that's your other point. And as you substitute n, you're going to get those infinite values. That's all it means. Does that make sense, Bruce? Sorry? The value of y I'm giving you. I'm giving you the value of y and asking you to find all the values of x. So guys, just practice. That's all it is. Okay? It is doable. It's definitely doable. It is just practice. Okay? That's your general solutions there. Now this stuff is already on your OneNote. Once I finish the recording here, I'll upload it and put the link up there as well that you can watch.